I'm Nedra Knirk, and I want to welcome Robert Obregon, Project Coordinator at the Better Business Bureau of Greater Houston and South Texas. And Mr. Obregon works as the Healthcare and Consumer Fraud Prevention Educator for the Better Business Bureau Consumer Education Foundation. I think I have that right, which includes all of our RGV communities. And he is a native of FAR, I believe, and the RGV, and he will discuss ways that we can protect ourselves from Medicare scams and related questions. But first, I want to thank our Futura RGV sponsors, and they help us bring these discussions to you. And these discussions and those of other Valley leaders are on the Futura RGV Facebook page, YouTube, and social media for further viewing. And this is the time in which Medicare recipients can change their Medicare coverage and are receiving many mailers, emails, phone calls on why to change, where to change, and how to change their benefits. Now, unfortunately, not all are accurate or safe. And Futura RGV moderator, Felipe Salinas, will review with Robert Obregon the dangers for which to look and how to avoid being scammed. And so now, Felipe, I will turn this over to you and Mr. Obregon to help us understand how to best navigate these Medicare issues. Felipe?
Thank you, Nedra. Appreciate it. Hello, Mr. Obregon. How are you? Good to see you.
Doing good.
Hi. As Nedra mentioned, you were engaged with the Better Business Bureau. Can you tell us a little bit about what that long title means and what you do with them, and a little bit about what the SMP program is about? So before we kind of launch into some of the particular details about what we're concerned about today.
Okay, to kind of clarify on that long title,
Sure.
I am the project coordinator for the Senior Medicare Patrol program, and that's a project that runs under the Better Business Bureau Education Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and our job, or my job, is to educate the mainly Medicare beneficiaries, but really I'll handle anyone over 60 that has a problem, and I'll try to solve it for them. My job is to educate them on how to prevent, how to protect themselves, how to detect scams, and how to properly report them. There's a proper way of reporting the different types of scams to different agencies out there, and believe me, they are working, trying to put a stop to them, but they need to be informed of what's going on out in the community before they can take care of the problem. So one of the things I encourage people to do is don't be embarrassed if you got swindled. Come clean, let your friends know they're probably getting the same scam attempts that you fell for. So they need to know this. We need to spread the word, and we're all in it together as a community. And that's the main message I try to convey to the public.
Great, thank you. And I know that normally in non-pandemic times, you would spend quite a bit of your time talking to groups where seniors might gather. So, but I understand you've been having to work out of your home for the last several months, like most of us have. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of Zoom meetings, and over the phone, etc.
So I think one of the main questions is that the reason we're running this is because this is a time of year that people are have the opportunity to change part of their Medicare coverage. Can you just tell us briefly, I think the focus is on Medicare Part D. If you could talk to us briefly what that is so that people understand, because sometimes it's a bit confusing between A, B, C, and D.
Well, first of all, I think it'd be important to emphasize, why would anyone want to steal from a little old lady?
Yeah, well, if you could talk about that, yeah. Yeah. That's probably
when I say little old lady, I mean there's little old men, there's the elderly. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, those of us that were born from 1945 to 1960, from 1945 to 1964, we're called the baby boomers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bunch of us I mean, a whole bunch of us. I haven't counted each one.
Right.
I haven't counted each one of us yet, but I'll show you just how many, or so you can get a better idea of how many of us there are. Now the oldest baby boomers are only 75 years old this year.
Mhm.
Okay. Now we all know somebody. I've got brothers and sisters that are 76 or older. So we all know people in their 80s, and there's still a whole bunch of those too. I mean, and quite a few in the 90s. And there was a guy on the monitor the other day that it's 102. So the elderly population is huge. Okay. Now, how huge? We make up 1/4 of the population. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
However, people over 55 control 75% of all the wealth,
Mm.
all the money in the bank that's readily available, all the credit that is available, all the insurance benefits that are out there, property that's paid for belongs to people over 55. And that's why the scammers are very good at what they do. They do their homework. They are aware of all this. They know where the money is. So consequently, if you're going to rob somebody, you go where the money is.
Mhm.
And even though I don't feel rich, I mean, I am financially secure, I guess you'd call that. But we are where the money is. That's why we get 7 or 8 phone calls a day offering us this and offering us that. We get all the junk mail in every day. I mean, we are the main target for the scammers. Now,
So
there are
it
some
sounds to me
legitimate-
like legitimate businesses do market analysis. It sounds like the illegitimate businesses do the same thing, basically, is what you're saying, right?
Right. And unfortunately, some of those legitimate businesses are suffering because here I am telling people to hang up or slam the door. Or
Mm.
it's getting to where really we have to train the elderly on how to be rude because they weren't brought up that way.
Right.
They were brought up in an era of don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying we were perfect angels. I mean, we snuck into the movies without paying if we could, that sort of thing. It's the driving was popular back then, that sort of thing. But as I recall, you didn't steal from a little old lady, or
Sure.
you respected the elders. And as soon as they were out of the picture, okay, you can start acting up again. Kind of like Eddie Haskell, if you recall.
Right. From Leave It to Beaver. Yeah.
I mean, but that's the way things were. It's not that way anymore.
Sure.
Now, one of the biggest, I don't know what you want to call them, weapons or devices that's being used against us is this modern day technology that we're using right here.
Mhm.
Most people over 55 don't really get along with the texting and the cell phones and the the computers, etc. When they tell you, oh, we could have helped you online. What does online mean? I mean,
Right.
they don't know.
Right.
No, they'd rather go to the pharmacy, talk to the pharmacist face to face. They want to talk to somebody at the power company with a problem about their bill, etc.
Sure.
They don't feel comfortable talking over the phone and pushing a bunch of buttons to report a problem.
Sure.
And so scammers know this. So they use that against us also.
Sure.
We are very susceptible to the modern day technology. And again, since we're where the money is, they come after us.
They're going to come after us.
Now,
Well, good.
locally, I
Yeah.
know we've got quite a bit of poverty, but the truth is about 70% of the elderly in our community are able to sustain themselves. They've got their retirement benefits. They've got their savings, personal savings. A lot of them do have. And since we were going to be talking about Medicare, our
Yes.
healthcare benefits, there's a whole bunch of money sitting out there in healthcare that's just waiting to be used by the proper beneficiary. Unfortunately, the scammers have figured out a way of taking those benefits, taking your identity, cashing in your benefits, and putting the money in their pocket. And someone that has assumed your identity might be getting medical treatment that was being reserved for you that
Right.
you didn't need at the time.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's very helpful. I mean, it's good to understand why this our population, our age group is susceptible to this kind of a thing, because then that gives us an understanding as to, why does this kind of thing happen. So tell us a little bit then about the Medicare Part D, which is this time of we're
Okay.
at the period to change that. Explain briefly what that is, and then why. What are some of the signs? What are some of the things that we need to be looking for if we think we're being, if we get a call or if we get something in the mail about that kind of thing?
Okay, Medicare Part D, actually, it's what they call Medicare Open Enrollment Period. From October the 15th through December 7th, Medicare beneficiaries have the right to change their Medicare Part D plan. Now, Medicare is divided into 4 parts, A,
Sure.
B, C, and D.
Mhm.
Now, anyone who's worked at least 10 years in the United States, submitted an income tax return for 10 years, it doesn't have to be all in a row,
Mhm.
becomes eligible for Medicare on the first day of the month that they turn 65,
Okay.
right? It's not welfare. You've been paying into it all your
Sure.
working life. So now that's your insurance policy. That's Medicare Part A, okay? That's for hospitalization, etc.
Right.
Now, Part B is for your doctor's visits for regular health care. You need a yearly checkup, etc.
Mhm.
Right? That's Part B. Part C, okay? Now, this is where people should really have to take, well, first of all, they are responsible for your own health care. If you're on Medicare, you're the one ultimately responsible. What do you need? How can you get it? Right?
Mhm.
Now, Part D covers your medication. And
Part C or Part D?
okay, Part C.
Is
Okay,
medication.
okay, yeah, of course,
Yes.
yeah. Sorry about that. I got mixed up myself.
Sure.
Part C, you can take a combination of Part A, Part B, and D,
Mhm.
and other benefits, and put it all in one.
Mhm.
For some people, that's the right way to go. For other people, they might not need that.
Mhm.
I mean, it all depends on your health and what your needs are.
Sure.
Okay. Now, Part D covers your medication. And as you know, most elderly carry that little pill box with them in their pocket or in their purse, and they're always taking pills. And that can add up to quite a sum at the end of the year, or on a monthly basis or
Mhm.
yearly, etc. That's where Medicare Part D comes in. That's where all these insurance agents try to sell you the plan that will cover your medication. And now some medications cost more than others, and some of them, not all of them, are covered by different plans. So
Mhm.
that's where, again, you're responsible for what you need. You make sure that what you're getting is gonna cover your needs.
Sure.
Now, your needs and your wife's needs might be totally different. So each one of you has to get your own plan that will suit you.
Right.
Now, currently, if you're gonna, let's say, for instance, I have a plan for 2020, but we're talking about 2021 now. If I'm not satisfied with what I'm getting, or if I feel that I'm gonna be needing more services or different
Mhm.
treatment,
Mhm.
then I need to look into that before December 7th and make sure that I'm covered starting January 1st.
Sure.
And that's where a lot of the scamming goes on.
So
The salesman
what are
from out of
what are some of the
nowhere.
typical ways that the scams are coming in? I mean, mail, phone call, so forth. And then what are some of the tip-off points that tells us that, hey, this may be an actual scam? What are some of the key things that we need to be watching for that alerts us
Okay,
to it?
okay, there are scams, and then there are breaking of the rules. I mean,
Sure.
a good insurance salesman that is dedicated to his elderly clients will be up to date with all the rules and regulations that they have to follow. And one of the big ones that everybody seems to break, a lot of them unknowingly start saying that I am from Medicare and I'm calling you about your services. They are not supposed to say that.
Sure.
They are not supposed to claim to be from Medicare, because Medicare will never call you, right?
Okay. So number
Unless
one,
you,
the Medicare will never call you on the phone directly. How do they communicate with you? How is the proper
Okay.
way that Medicare does communicate with you? Only by
Okay.
direct mail?
Medicare's main, it's not official notification unless it comes by US mail.
By
That
US
is
mail.
written into the law. The Medicare Act says the program will communicate with the beneficiary via US mail.
Okay. So if I get a
That
phone
means-
call that says I'm calling for Medicare, that's not
No.
Medicare.
No,
Okay.
the only time they're gonna call you is if you had a problem, you called them, you tried contacting them, and they're returning your call.
They're
So
returning
you
your phone
should be
call.
expecting that. Other
Sure.
than that, from out of the cold, they will not call.
Okay, good. So that's one of the warning signs. What else?
Right.
What else do we watch for?
They shouldn't say, I am from Medicare again. I
Mhm.
mean, they might say, and again, they're towing a fine line there. I am calling you this morning to see if I could help you out with your Medicare situation, something like that. Okay. Now I know what it is you're talking about, and you're making an honest attempt to sell me something. And as long as you properly identify yourself, I mean, that might be okay. You know,
Okay.
it all depends on how you use that term Medicare. Are you saying I'm from Medicare, or I'm calling you about your Medicare coverage?
Sure. Good. And so then what are some of the other things we need to watch for in those communications? Any other couple of points that we need to tell us that let's assume somebody doesn't say that I'm from Medicare. Is there other couple of warning signs that we should listen for to help us determine if we might want to confirm if it's a scam or not?
Well, first of all, when they start, and there are some plans that say they will provide you with the delivery of meals. They'll put $140 back in your Social Security, and they'll promise you all kinds of stuff. Those gym memberships, etc. You can work out. I mean, see, a lot of that is already available, oftentimes free of charge. All you gotta do is contact the proper agency and fill out the paperwork, as they say. But a lot of people don't know this.
Okay.
And so what that agent is really offering you is, I'll take care of all of that for you, included. I mean, in other words, the hassle of going from one agency to the other, making sure you get all these benefits, they'll take care of that for you if you sign up with them.
But you're
really,
entitled
it's
to
not
those
something
things.
that you can do on your own.
Yeah, but those things are available to you, you know, anyhow, but and then they're trying to tack on something else that they're supposedly selling you.
Right, especially that 140 back in your Social Security check. I got those back long ago, okay? Because I found out that being a 50% disabled vet, I didn't have to pay those expenses out of pocket. The VA takes care of them for me. And there's a lot of people out there that are eligible for all different types of benefits that just don't know about it. So that's where all these public service agencies that assist the elderly can come in very handy if you just take the time and do your part and provide the information they ask you, and they'll put everything in order for you.
So if I suspect that somebody's trying to scam me through a Medicare call or something like that, there are places that I can either report it or ask questions about it to try to verify that. And we're going to try at the end of this video to put those contact information. Can you just tell us briefly how I can do something like about that in case I feel like I am being scammed?
Okay.
Or also if I have already signed off on something, right, that then now I realize that it was probably something that I need to get out of. So those might be two different questions, but I wonder if you could touch on those two things.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, you can call me. I'm telling you about all these programs. I don't do a lot of this work myself, but I can direct you to the proper agency that can help you resolve the problem you're having. And problems vary. I mean, situations vary. So, but there is a lot of help out there that people just don't know about. And it's not all government help. There's a lot of private agencies, private nonprofit organizations that are ready to help the elderly.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, all sorts. And I've got a big list at my office that I can forward to you.
Sure.
And also, but your call number one, if you're totally confused, and it's all right to be confused, everybody is, all right? Give me a call and I'll try to direct you, point you in the right direction.
Okay, so you could give us that phone number and we'll try to get it up at the end of the video also.
All right.
Can you tell us, do you want to give that phone number out real slowly now in case somebody wants to write it down right now?
My office number is 956-969-1804. Okay. Now that's the local Better Business Bureau.
Give it again slowly.
Yeah, one more time, 956.
Okay. My office number is 956-969-1804. Now I'm going to answer, or whoever answers is going to say the Better Business Bureau, but then just tell them you need to talk to your elderly. You've got a problem, and they'll direct you to me here in the Valley anyway. Okay. Great. Because the Senior Medicare Patrol program is a national program. We're all over the place. Okay. All over the country. And every state has their own. And in our case, our headquarters is in Houston under the Better Business Bureau of Greater Houston. So that's good to know that you mentioned that it's national. If somebody here locally has their parents that live somewhere else, they can, if they're suspected they need this kind of help, they can try to find that Senior Medicare program out there also, so they can help them. Good. Exactly. I'm currently helping people out of Oregon, out of Minnesota. Sure. You know, a lot of our winter Texans really have two homes, and they go back and forth. So it's not unusual for them to have a problem in one state, even though they're located in another state right now. So we try to help them. Good. So I think we're kind of running a little bit closer to the end of time here that we want to that we have for this. But I wonder if you could touch briefly on there's other kinds of scams that happen besides the Medicare, especially at this time of year. Do you want to tell us some of the things that that we may be looking out for about that? Okay. One of them that's popular here in the Valley is what is commonly referred to as the grandmother scam or the grandparent scam. That's when grandma or grandpa get a phone call, usually in the middle of the night, late at night when they're already in bed, etc., from Jimmy, their grandson who they haven't seen in 3 years. I mean, supposedly he actually resides up in the Dallas area somewhere. They haven't come down in 3 years for whatever reason, or at least Jimmy hasn't. Maybe his parents have. Right. But and he's down at the island on spring break, etc., with a bunch of friends, and they got in trouble with the law, and they need at least $300 just to get out of jail tonight, and they'll come home and I promise I'll behave myself from now on. And please don't tell mom and dad. Please don't tell mom and dad because they'll kill me. You know your son. etc. And they pull at grandma and grandpa's heartstrings. Right. And of course, again, $300 for an elderly couple is not out of reach. Right. Okay. They know this. The scammers know all this about the elderly. And so, and that 300 is not gonna break them. So yes, they're gonna help out their grandson or who they think is their grandson, whom they haven't heard from in 3 years. Right. And grandma and grandpa says, well, how can I get it to you? I mean, again, technology, all right? So it says, grandpa, times have changed. All you have to do is give me your bank account number and I can pull it out directly with my phone here. Yeah. See, grandma and grandpa aren't aware of this, but they are, and they trust their grandson. They end up giving away their life savings. And yes, right, because once they get the bank information, they can drain their account. Right. Again, the technology used against us here. And I say here in the Valley because a lot of times they're not in trouble at the island. They're in trouble, either in Reynosa or Matamoros. Yeah. Close by. And
one of the other ones that comes to mind is I myself, I mean, it's slowed down recently, but I used to get calls all the time for automated phone calls from the Social Security Administration, right? And so it's,
Okay.
you know.
Let me tell you about that one, okay?
Yeah.
Those, the Social Security scam, the IRS scam,
Mhm,
those are not aimed at poor illiterate individuals, okay?
mhm.
The poverty people, you know, the poverty stricken in our area.
Yeah.
Those don't go to them. They go, and I'm not mocking anyone or making fun, but we've all heard the story, and I applaud these people, okay? I mean, you've seen them. I was a poor farm worker. I worked my way up. I decided not to drop out. I wish they emphasized that more.
Mhm.
I stayed in school. I got educated, and I've worked my way up to a responsible position in the community. I mean, be it a school administrator or a public administrator of some sort. That's their story, and I applaud them. One thing that they brought along with them that's working against that group, okay? La vergüenza,
Shame.
embarrassment.
Yeah, embarrassment.
They don't want to embarrass themselves or their family. A lot of them are public school administrators that want to put out a good example for their students.
Sure.
Now, in the 8 years that I've been doing this, I've actually talked to 3 different people face to face that fell for the IRS scam.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was, you could tell that was their story on for all 3 of them.
Mhm.
They were responsible people, supposedly pillars of the community. And
Mhm.
now they're gonna be like Wesley Snipes and Willie Nelson being picked up. They owe IRS tax money. They're gonna be on TV tonight with their hands cuffed
Yeah.
behind them.
Yeah.
So, and again, 5,000, 6,000 might be within their reach. They can get it by 5 o'clock this afternoon. And so they pay it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
getting them to admit that they were swindled
Mhm.
is a problem for them. All right.
Sure.
And like I tell them, I don't care how educated you are, how many troops you commanded, how big of a company you built, you are vulnerable.
Right.
So,
Wow. Well, thank you very much. I think that Nedra, we're going to try to also get a video posted alongside with this interview that talks about how to have the talk with your parents, I believe, with your,
Right.
with
Yes.
your elderly family members. And I wonder if I will give you, can you just tell us, I believe that's, I think it focuses on, this is a good time, especially if you're going to be in touch with them over the holidays, to maybe to sit down and try to help your elderly family members, kind of to train them a little bit about how to look for this kind of thing and to ask for help if they feel like they're getting one of these scams. So I think that's a really good resource that we're going to make available through Futuro's RGV's website. Very good.
okay.
Well, I think that wraps up, but is there anything else you'd like to leave us with that we haven't touched on, just to kind of get the word out to folks? We are going to get your phone number up there and the other ways that they can contact to get assistance. But is there anything else that you want to mention before we wrap up?
Other than that, I'm on call 24/7. So give me a call. I mean, there's people that call me at late at night. So, and they're not embarrassed, no tienen vergüenza. But I wish that the people with these problems that we talked about, and I know they're out there, I'll run into them. I'm sure I'll get phone calls because of this interview here, but they are out there. That's what we're here for. And the other agencies that I talked about, I can introduce you to them, and you'd be surprised how easy it is and to get out of these situations. And it's nothing you shouldn't be embarrassed if you fall in the hole. I mean, they're after all of us, and some of us are going to fall.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And I think it's very timely. And again, because the Medicare Part D enrollment period is now here in November, and it's going through December 7th. So it's something that we all need to be very careful and watch out for, to be sure that we're kind of figuring out what is legit and what is not. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Nedra,
Very
Back
much
to you.
appreciate you being on, Robert. I hope people will take advantage of your phone number, your help, and these other agencies that you've mentioned, because all of us are getting these scam calls, emails, etc. And
Yes.
we need to know how to protect ourselves and help our elderly family members protect themselves. So thank you very much.
Nedra, maybe you might just want to give Mr. Obregon's phone number one more time. So people, I saw you writing it down. It's 956-969.
1804. Again, 956-969-1804. So do call him. Okay, I think that wraps it up. And again, thank you very much. We appreciate your help and your counsel.
Thank you.